The Xiaomi 12 Pro is the latest high-end phone from Xiaomi and is one of the first smartphones to feature the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset. It's packed with up to 12 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of non-expandable storage, a large 6.73-inch LTPO AMOLED display with 120Hz refresh rate, a 50 megapixel triple rear camera array, and 4500 mAh battery with 120 watt fast wired charging. At a starting price of about $900 depending on where you purchase from, is it the first phone of 2022 you should consider spending your hard-earned cash on? Let's find out. How's it, Grant here? Welcome back to the channel. And this is my first look and walkthrough of the Xiaomi 12, which I've just unboxed and actually took it out for a quick camera test. So I'll show you some photo and video samples a little bit later in the video. But let's just start off by checking out the hardware on this thing. And here, really quickly, this is the case that comes in the box. So pretty decent gel style case. I mean, it's gonna suit you just fine until you can get a replacement, but it's nice that they include one in the box. Has all the basic protection while being able to show off the nice design here. So let's go ahead and take it off and get a closer look at the phone itself. So I really do like this matte glass back. I love matte glass backs because they don't attract too many fingerprints and just feel really nice and they're comfortable to hold. You can see I've got it in this blue color, which I thought was gonna be a little bit more bluish. It's kind of baby blue in some light, but also kind of lavenderish in other lights. It's just maybe a little bit lighter than I thought this was gonna be. It also comes in a black, green, or pink. And then you can also see, you know, it's got your power button and your volume rocker here on the right, nothing on the left-hand side. You've got your standard SIM card tray, your microphone Type-C port, and speaker on the bottom. You do have another speaker up top, which is powered by Harman Kardon and tuned by Harman Kardon, and that's not a gimmick. On the 11 series, the Harman Kardon speakers were really, really nice, so I'm sure they'll be really great on this as well. Really good high rich fidelity to them. And then you also have an IR blaster here, so Xiaomi is still including that IR blaster on their phones, which is really nice and useful. And then you've got the triple 50 megapixel camera array on the back. So the top one, you've got your main 50 megapixel sensor. That is the Sony IMX707. This is the first phone to use that sensor. And it's a 24 millimeter lens. It does have optical image stabilization and it can support up to 8K video. Now the second lens here in the middle, that's a 50 megapixel telephoto lens. That's a 48 millimeter telephoto lens with 2 times optical zoom. And the last one on the bottom is your 50 megapixel ultra wide angle sensor with a 115 degree field of view. And it's encased in this kind of new camera module. Love it or not like it. I actually like the shape. I'm not actually a fan of this kind of anodized silver covering with the line dividers. It doesn't look as great in person to me. The arrangement is quite nice, but I'm not really a fan of that kind of silver and the lines there. That's just a personal aesthetic thing, but at least everything else is very clean. Xiaomi branding on the bottom. I'm sure the global model is going to have a whole bunch of FTC stuff down here like it normally does, but this is the one only released in China, and so it's really nice and clean as far as that's concerned. And then, of course, you do have a 32 megapixel selfie camera punch hole front and center on the front there. And that is a 26 millimeter lens. It supports up to 1080p 60 frames per second video. So no 4K video, just like Xiaomi does. They don't include 4K video on their front-facing cameras on pretty much any of their phones for whatever reason. And it does have a 4600 milliamp hour battery. And that battery is a split battery so that it can charge up really fast. It supports 120 watt fast wired charging. And they're claiming 100% in 18 minutes. And so I just got the phone, but I did a quick top up, and out of the box, it had 50% of battery and it went to 90%, so 40% jump in just 9 minutes. So I'm pretty sure that 18-minute claim to 100% is probably true. It also supports 50 watt fast wireless charging if you get their proprietary charger, and that'll go from 0 to 100 in 42 minutes. So really nice that they include fast charging and that they include the actual 120 watt charger and cable in the box. Advertise the fast charging, include it in the box. Really nice move there by Xiaomi. And of course, this has a really large display here. This is a 6.73 inch LTPO AMOLED display. It's a 1440p display, so that's 1440 by 3200 pixels, if you care about that kind of stuff. And it's a 20:9 aspect ratio, so not too tall and just wide enough to feel comfortable for such a big screen. It's got Gorilla Glass Victus on the front if you're into what kind of glass it is. And it's a really bright display, so it's got a 1000 nit display and it maxes out at 1500 nits. So outdoor visibility, it's very bright. Viewing it outside under direct sunlight's not going to be a problem. Really nice looking display here, and I just kind of powered it up and I didn't do anything. So this is how it's going to come out of the box. All I did was take it outside and take a bunch of pictures and video, so I'll show you that in a bit. But this is how it comes out of the box. You can see here, no app tray by default. You can change that in the settings. And then of course, if you pull down from the right, that's Xiaomi's kind of control center looking like Apple iOS-y kind of look. This can also be changed back to the stock Android or default Android look and feel for your notification shade. But you pull down from the left and there's where all your notifications are. And if we go into settings here, you'll notice, let's see if we go to my device. So you can see out of the box is running MIUI version 13. So that's nice, it's running the latest version out of the box. And then if you go into here, there is an actual update waiting. So it'll pop up here. And it says it's a fairly large update. It's 863 megabytes, so pretty big update. All it says is it's optimized system performance and the newest security patch. But nice that they have an update out of the box, and it is running MIUI 13. You can see here, this is the 8 gig version. It does have a 12 gig RAM option. This is 256 gigs of storage. I think that's the max capacity model, unfortunately. There is no expandable memory to this. And there is a lower 128 gigabyte model if you want. I went with the largest storage capacity because there is no external expansion, and that's kind of the largest internal storage option that there is. You can see it is running Android 12 on MIUI 13, and it has the November 2021 security patch on it. So hopefully the update will bring the most recent security update there. And then if we go into wallpapers here, so we go into settings, your home settings, you can see what this looks like. So you do have some of the basic home screen settings, but we go into here, we can change the wallpapers. So they have their usual super wallpapers, which is kind of like their motion-based wallpapers. The snowy peaks is really nice. And then here's a glimpse at some of the other wallpapers that you can get. And this is what they kind of look like on your phone. So a lot of wallpaper options here, actually. You can see these. So tons of customization and wallpaper options here on the Xiaomi 12. So I'm sure you'll probably find one that you like until you can put a wallpaper that you might want to download, or any of your own favorite wallpapers. But the ones that come with the phone, these are pretty much standard Xiaomi wallpapers that they have on their other devices, but really nice, and tons of different options, as you can see right here. And so now we can go in and check out the display. So let's go into settings and check out the display settings, because out of the box it's running at full HD plus, not quad HD. We can change that. And then the refresh rate is on auto. You can actually customize that, and there are options for 60, 90, and 120 hertz. So if you always want to run at 120 hertz, you can do that. You can run it in auto just to save that battery. That's what that LTPO AMOLED display is for, to really help with that variable refresh rate, to use it when you need it, ramp down when you're not, and save on that battery. But you can force it if you want straight in the settings. You don't have to go into any kind of developer options there. And then we can also check out sound and touch. So the sound settings here, I always like to see if there's kind of any advanced sound settings for tuning, equalizers, and all that. So if you go into sound effects, you do have Dolby Atmos, which is nice that it supports that. You have preset equalizer settings if you want, but they do have an actual graphic equalizer for you to go ahead and customize that to your liking. So I like that they have a custom graphic equalizer. Really helps enhance the audio experience. Really nice that they include that here in the Xiaomi 12. And then of course, my favorite part, and probably one of your favorite parts if you tune into my channel, is the camera. So here's the standard Xiaomi camera app. You can see here, you do have your standard photo auto, you got portrait mode, you got video, and again, video, you can see supports 8K video, 4K 30 frames per second, 4K 60 frames per second is in there. It does have additional video options for stabilization, so you can go into this mode, which is steady video. So that'll crop in on the main sensor and give you extra stabilization. So if you want to capture action shots or just a lot of movement, steady video might be a good option. But what's really nice is that they have another mode here. This is Super Steady Pro, which is actually stabilization on the ultra wide angle camera. So this will crop in on the ultra wide. So if you want a little bit more, you can see it. So right there, it's more cropped in. You can see it there, it pulls out. So this is probably the ultra wide, and they crop in on that to stabilize that. So if you want more field of view, you can, and so this is really probably great for action shots, really scenic shots where you want a lot of stabilization, where you have a lot of movement. Super Video Pro will get you that with the ultra wide, crop on and stabilization on a standard wide, or just basic standard stabilization here for video. So that's nice. It also has Pro mode for both photos. You can see here all your controls for white balance, shutter speed, ISO, exposure, all that. And then you also have Pro mode for video. So just tap on this, and then you have the same controls for when you want to shoot video, which is really nice. So if you want full controls for both your photos and videos, you have a Pro mode here for both. And of course, if you go into more, you have your other standard modes like night mode. They also have their movie effect mode that they like to promote a lot. So you can do a lot of magic zooming. You can see what that does here, that kind of effect there. And then you also have things like slow shutter. Time freeze is kind of cool, where if you have some motion, it'll freeze it. So you can get kind of creative with some of these movie effects. And then let's see what else they got here. And then of course, you do have slow motion. So slow motion is pretty interesting because they offer slow motion at 1920 frames per second, but that's going to limit you to only 720p video. If you move it up to 1080p video, you still have 960 frames per second slow motion video. So some really nice slow motion options here on the Xiaomi 12. And then lastly, for your photo mode, you not only have AI mode, but you have this mode called dynamic, and can use them in conjunction, both AI and dynamic. So I've taken some samples of that. So speaking of that, let's go ahead and check out all the photo and video samples that I shot, and then we'll come back and wrap this up. So this is the bokeh filter on the front-facing camera on the Xiaomi 12. It is adjustable, so you can adjust them on background blur here right now. And this does dumb down the resolution to 720p, so I'll just pan around so you can kind of see how this looks here. You can see the artificial blur in the background right now and what that looks like here at about 70% right now. This can go from 0 to 100. And let's go ahead and start walking so we can see if it's stabilized or not and what that looks like here. But at least in the viewfinder, this is looking pretty good here, as long as you have some controlled light and it's not too much of a harsh light. It seems to be able to produce a pretty good looking effect here. So this is bokeh mode on the rear facing camera on the Xiaomi 12. You can actually adjust them on a background blur from 0 to 100. This is at about 70 right now, and this will reduce the resolution of the video down to 720p. So I'm just panning around to give you a feel for what this looks like here with some movement. And if you move around this way, we'll actually walk to test the stabilization here to see how that is, because sometimes phones aren't stabilized while it tries to produce this effect. So there you go, just a quick test of bokeh mode on the rear facing camera on Xiaomi 12. So there you go, that's my quick unboxing, walkthrough, and camera samples of one of the first phones to support the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset, the Xiaomi 12. So if you have any questions, leave them down below. If you have any other camera comparisons that you want to see this compared to specifically, I'll be doing a bunch of those. Leave them in the comments as well. And as always, thanks for watching.